The dust settled not on forgotten shelves, but on a truth ripped from oblivion. This script wasn't merely found, it was an avalanche of knowledge, a divine whisper breaking through the static of centuries. It emerged from a time before Babylon, a time when the very air crackled with potent, untamed magic. Imagine the hands that first etched these symbols, primal and unafraid, seeking to harness forces we now only fear in our deepest nightmares. These weren't just doodles, they were keys, intricate locks designed to bind not just physical matter, but the very essence of being. Forgotten priesthoods, their names lost to the winds of time, wielded this alphabet like a surgeon's scalpel, dissecting the fabric of reality. They understood the profound connection between symbol and spirit, between intent and consequence. This ancient knowledge reveals a terrifying efficacy, a system built for the explicit purpose of manipulating cosmic energies and, more chillingly, enslaving consciousness itself. It's a shadow play, a carefully constructed illusion designed to keep us tethered, unaware of the true nature of our prison. The power encoded here is stark, raw, and utterly alien, yet its tendrils reach into our present, subtly influencing our perceptions and our very souls. As we begin to decipher these glyphs, a disturbing clarity dawns. These patterns are not relegated to history, they are etched into our existence, waiting to be recognized so we can finally begin to break free. You've seen the raw power of these unearthed symbols, potent enough to shape reality and ensnare the mind. But where did something so profoundly impactful, so inherently designed for control, actually begin? In the next section, we delve into the very genesis of this ancient power, exploring the pre-Babylonian matrices and the first binding rituals that laid the foundation for everything that followed. And real quick, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more videos. Now let's keep going. The dawn of conscious thought in humanity was also the dawn of its most insidious cages. Before the grand structures of Babylon, before organized religion as we know it, there were the primal forces, the raw materials of existence. And in that rawness, early mystics and power seekers didn't just observe, they actively participated, weaving spells into the very fabric of reality. These pre-Babylonian matrices were not just abstract concepts, they were tangible energetic frameworks, built with intent and imbued with a specific purpose. Imagine the stark, primal landscapes where these first rituals took place. The air thick with ozone and unspoken intentions. They were crafting systems, intricate webs of influence designed to achieve dominion. These weren't mere incantations. They were foundational blueprints for binding, for channeling, and for establishing a hierarchy of control that would ripple through millennia. These were the first true binding rituals, not of chains and iron, but of energy and consciousness. They understood that what could be bound could also be directed. The whispers of these early attempts to master the cosmos echo still, a low hum beneath the surface of our reality. Understanding these beginnings is crucial, for they illuminate the root of systems that continue to shape our perception, even if we are unaware of their origin. We have glimpsed the primal origins of these binding forces, the very first rituals that sought to impose order on chaotic energies. But what were the specific tools of their trade, the symbols that held such immense power? In the next section, we will uncover the glyphs of dominion and explore the incomprehensible power they held. These are the symbols that whispered across eons, the glyphs that our ancestors etched into stone, bone, and their very souls. They are not mere pictures, they are conduits, energetic blueprints that bypass normal perception and speak directly to the deeper, more primal parts of our being. Each curve, each line, each intersection is a precisely calibrated nexus of force, designed for a singular purpose: dominion. Think of a sculptor with clay, but instead of shaping inert material, they are shaping intention, belief, and the flow of cosmic energy. These glyphs were their tools, their vocabulary for speaking to forces that govern existence. They possessed a power that modern science can scarcely comprehend, a power that could influence weather, sow discord, or imbue an object with terrifying potency. The sheer incomprehensibility of their power stems from their direct interaction with natural law, not by bending it, but by understanding its underlying architecture. They were the keys to a kingdom of forces, a dominion that lay just beyond the veil of our everyday awareness. This was power beyond comprehension, not in its volume, but in its precision and its profound, almost terrifying effectiveness. We felt the immense, almost unfathomable power contained within these ancient glyphs, symbols that commanded forces beyond our current understanding. But who were the architects of such potent magic, the ones who wielded these tools of dominion? In the next section, we will examine the forgotten priesthoods, the true weavers of cosmic law. They were the architects of the unseen, the silent engineers of reality. Forgotten priesthoods, their names whispered only in the dustiest corners of cryptic texts, were the custodians of this profound knowledge. They didn't just study these symbols, they lived them, breathed them, and meticulously wove them into the very fabric of their societies, and more importantly, into the fabric of our collective consciousness. These were not men who sought power for fleeting earthly gain. Their ambition was cosmic. They saw the universe as a grand mechanism and believed they had the divine right and the secret knowledge to operate its levers. They understood the interconnectedness of all things, the subtle currents of energy that bind the stars to the smallest grain of sand. Their rituals were not performances, they were operations. They were the weavers of cosmic law, not in the sense of creating new rules, but in understanding and manipulating the existing, often hidden, divine ordinances. They were the silent gatekeepers, channeling forces and energies, ensuring that the order of things, as they envisioned it, was maintained. Their influence, though ancient, still subtly guides the currents that shape our world, often in ways we are completely unaware of. We've peered into the roles of the forgotten priesthoods, the silent weavers who manipulated cosmic laws using powerful glyphs. But what was the ultimate goal of their intricate machinations, this elaborate system of control? In the next section, we will confront the chilling reality of the enslavement of consciousness and how these ancient practices created a symbolic prison for humanity. The ultimate achievement of these ancient systems was not dominion over land or people, but dominion over the mind itself. This wasn't achieved with armies or decrees, but with a far more insidious and enduring weapon, the careful construction of a symbolic prison for consciousness. Imagine being born into a labyrinth, where every wall, every turn, every shadow is designed to keep you from seeing the exit or even the fact that you are imprisoned at all. These ancient practices, honed by forgotten priesthoods, laid the very groundwork for this mental entrapment. They understood that by shaping belief, by manipulating perception, and by subtly guiding thought patterns, they could create a state of perpetual subservience. The glyphs, the rituals, the very language they employed were all part of an elaborate architecture of control. It's a suffocating thought that the limitations we perceive, the boundaries of our understanding, might not be inherent but imposed. This symbolic prison is built from layers of misinterpreted truths, twisted sacred concepts, and deliberate omissions, all designed to keep the soul tethered to a limited reality. The very idea of spiritual evolution was, in many ways, subverted within this framework, becoming a perpetuation of the trap rather than an escape from it. We have now grasped the terrifying extent of the enslavement of consciousness, the carefully crafted symbolic prison built over millennia. But how was this intricate trap constructed? What architecture was used to bind the mind so effectively? In the next section, we will decode the binding matrix, dissecting the very architecture of control that has held humanity captive. The architecture of control is not built with brick and mortar, but with unseen forces and carefully placed information. The binding matrix is an intricate web, a multidimensional blueprint that ensnares not just our physical reality, but our very energetic signatures. It's a system designed with surgical precision to limit our awareness and direct our spiritual energy in specific, predetermined pathways. Think of a complex algorithm, but instead of code, it's woven from symbols, sound, and belief systems. The glyphs we've discussed are not mere decorations, they are functional components, nodes within this vast network. They are placed strategically to create resonant frequencies that influence our thoughts, our emotions, and our very sense of self. This matrix exploits our innate connection to the cosmic web, turning it into a system of subtle, yet profound, manipulation. By understanding the underlying principles of this architecture, we can begin to see the wires and pulleys, the hidden mechanisms that govern so much of our perceived reality. It's a chilling revelation to realize how deeply embedded these control structures are, shaping our choices and our destinies in ways we rarely, if ever, question. We've begun to decode the binding matrix, understanding its sophisticated architecture of control that has shaped our reality for ages. But this control wasn't just about passive influence. It involved actively corrupting and twisting the very foundations of truth. In the next section, we will explore the inversion of sacred names and how whispers of falsehoods became our guiding principles. The most potent weapon in any system of control is the corruption of truth itself. This is where the sacred becomes profane, where the divine is inverted, and where the very names of spiritual principles are twisted into their opposites. The inversion of sacred names wasn't a random act, but a deliberate, calculated strategy to muddy the waters, to make recognition of genuine spiritual pathways impossible. Imagine calling light darkness and darkness light. When the names of what is holy are perverted, when divine attributes are ascribed to malevolent entities, a profound confusion sets in. This creates a fog of falsehoods, obscuring the true nature of spiritual power and trapping seekers in dead ends, chasing echoes of what they believe to be divine. This corruption is insidious. It doesn't always present itself as outright malice. Often, it masquerades as divine revelation, subtly shifting meanings, adding layers of misinterpretation, and creating dogma that leads away from actual liberation. It's a masterful deception designed to make us embrace our own chains, believing them to be symbols of divine grace. The spiritual landscape becomes a minefield, where stepping in the wrong direction can lead to deeper entrapment. We've uncovered the disturbing practice of inverting sacred names, a subtle yet powerful way falsehoods were woven into our understanding. Now, let's shift our focus to the geometric foundations of this control system. In the next section, we will examine the hexagon and the cube, the fundamental geometry of binding. Geometry is the unspoken language of the cosmos, and in the hands of those who understood its deeper implications, it became a powerful tool for binding. The hexagon and the cube are not arbitrary shapes. They are fundamental building blocks of this control matrix, each imbued with specific energetic properties that create and reinforce energetic enclosures. The hexagon, with its perfect symmetry and six-fold resonance, is often associated with divine order. However, within the context of this ancient control system, it was subverted. It became a geometric lock, a recurring pattern that appears in everything from storm formations to energetic fields, subtly directing and containing energy. It's a signature of entrapment, a visual representation of a closed loop. Then there is the cube, a symbol of materiality and limitation. When imposed upon the energetic or spiritual realm, it creates a dense, restrictive field. Think of it as a spiritual containment unit. Together, the hexagon and the cube represent a sophisticated geometric binding mechanism designed to trap consciousness within specific energetic parameters. Their ubiquitous presence is a constant reminder of the underlying structure designed to keep us contained. We have now seen how the hexagon and the cube form the fundamental geometry of binding within this ancient system of control. But this geometric structure is amplified and made more potent by another, often overlooked, element. In the next section, we will explore the dark resonance, the use of sound frequencies and sigils to enhance this binding. Beyond the visual and the geometric lies the realm of sound and vibration, a subtler yet incredibly powerful aspect of this binding matrix. The dark resonance refers to the specific frequencies and sonic patterns that these ancient controllers used to influence and manipulate consciousness. It wasn't just about making noise. It was about tuning the human psyche to a specific, restrictive broadcast. Sigils, often misunderstood as mere symbols, are in fact potent energetic keys. When charged with intention and imbued with specific frequencies, they become powerful conduits. In this context, they were used to anchor and amplify the undesirable resonances, creating a continuous hum of energetic influence that permeated everything. Imagine the effect of a constant, low-level sonic manipulation, a vibration that subtly alters mood, perception, and even cellular function. This dark resonance, combined with the geometric structures and the inverted names, created a multi-sensory prison, making escape almost impossible. It's a symphony of control, designed to keep the soul locked in a resonant pattern of limitation. We've been exposed to the dark resonance, the vibrational frequencies and sigils used to augment the binding process. But the ultimate purpose behind this intricate system becomes chillingly clear when we examine its impact on spiritual growth. In the next section, we will uncover the grim truth about soul harvesting and how spiritual evolution itself was perverted into a trap. The most profound deception within this ancient control matrix is its manipulation of spiritual evolution. What appears to be a journey of growth and ascension is, in reality, a sophisticated ruse designed for soul harvesting. The system doesn't seek to destroy us, but to co-opt our spiritual energy, to drain us of our vital essence in a cyclical, perpetual process. Our natural inclination towards growth, towards seeking higher understanding and greater consciousness, is precisely what these forces exploit. They create a false path, a simulated spiritual journey that leads us precisely where they want us to go. Every effort we make towards what we believe is liberation is, in fact, feeding the system, contributing to its perpetuation. This harvesting isn't necessarily violent or overtly destructive. It's a slow, steady siphoning, like a gentle drain that empties a reservoir over time. Our experiences, our lessons learned, our accumulated spiritual energy all become fuel for something else, something that benefits from our perceived evolution while keeping us eternally bound. It's the ultimate perversion of purpose, turning our highest aspirations into our own continuous exploitation. We have now confronted the grim reality of soul harvesting, understanding how spiritual evolution was twisted into a trap for our very essence. This deception has echoes in ancient philosophical warnings. In the next section, we will explore Gnostic warnings about the demiurge and the seemingly unbreakable chain of reincarnation. The ancient Gnostics, those who sought direct, experiential knowledge of the divine, spoke of a profound deception at the heart of our reality. They warned of the demiurge, a lesser, flawed creator who, blinded by his own imperfections, fashioned the material world as a prison. This concept resonates deeply with the systems of control we have been uncovering. Their warnings highlight the idea that our current reality, driven by lower vibrations and a limited, often fearful, consciousness, is not the true, benevolent creation. Instead, it's an imitation, a flawed construct designed to keep us ignorant of our true spiritual home and our divine potential. The chain of reincarnation, as they understood it, wasn't necessarily a path to growth, but a mechanism within this flawed system, a way to keep souls cycling through the material realm, unaware of their true nature. This chain is not driven by a desire for our betterment, but by the demiurge's need to maintain his flawed creation and, consequently, his dominion. Each life spent in ignorance, each cycle of suffering and rebirth, reinforces the limitations of this material prison. The Gnostic insights offer a crucial lens through which to view the ancient practices of binding and soul harvesting, revealing a deliberate cosmic design to keep us ensnared. We have delved into the Gnostic warnings, understanding the demiurge and the cyclical trap of reincarnation. Now, let's turn our attention to a specific cosmic entity often associated with control and limitation. In the next section, we will examine Saturn's erased fear, revealing its role as a cosmic controller. There's a symbol that permeates ancient mysteries, a celestial body often associated with restriction, discipline, and the passage of time, Saturn. Yet, the true nature of its influence, its role as a cosmic controller, has been deliberately obscured, its fear factor erased from collective memory. We are taught to see Saturn as a planet, an astrological influence, but its significance runs far deeper. This celestial entity, or the principles it represents, is intricately woven into the binding matrix. It acts as a focal point, a gravitational center for the energies of limitation and karmic consequence. The patterns of control we've discussed, the symbols and frequencies, are all, in many ways, orchestrated or amplified through this Saturnian principle. It's a cosmic warden, meticulously ensuring that the laws of the matrix are upheld. The fear associated with Saturn is not accidental. It's a natural human response to its restrictive energies. By erasing this natural fear, by sanitizing its influence, the controllers have made us less wary, more susceptible to its binding effects. We unknowingly align ourselves with its cycles of limitation, perpetuating the very system that holds us captive, all while believing we are simply living out our lives. We have now illuminated Saturn's role as a cosmic controller, its influence often erased from our conscious awareness. But this control has a historical and cultural lineage. In the next section, we will trace the pagan roots of demonic hierarchies and understand how they became the framework for spiritual opposition. The narratives of good versus evil, of divine and demonic, are not as straightforward as they often appear. The pagan roots of the hierarchies we now label as demonic reveal a fascinating and often disturbing truth. Many of these archetypes were once revered deities, nature spirits, or ancestral powers. Their de-evolution into malevolent forces is a product of deliberate historical and spiritual manipulation. As dominant cultures and belief systems emerged, they often sought to demonize or co-opt the spiritual practices of those they conquered or superseded. Gods and goddesses who represented sovereignty, wildness, or dissenting knowledge were systematically recast as demons, their sacred rites reinterpreted as dark magic. This was a strategic move to consolidate power and eliminate spiritual competition. These inverted deities, stripped of their original context and infused with negative attributes, became the foundational figures of what we now understand as demonic hierarchies. They served as a powerful tool for social and spiritual control, representing everything that dominant narratives deemed forbidden or dangerous. The fear they instilled was instrumental in enforcing adherence to the new order. We have explored the origins of demonic hierarchies within pagan traditions, understanding how revered figures were transformed into symbols of opposition. Now let's look at the visual representations of this control and dogma. In the next section, we will examine the seal of ignorance, the symbolic meaning behind masks and ritual robes. The iconography of spiritual authority and control often involves a deliberate obscuring of identity. The mask and the ritual robe are not mere accoutrements. They are powerful symbols of the seal of ignorance, designed to create an aura of mystery and to disconnect the wearer from their individual essence, thereby representing a more universal, imposed authority. The mask signifies a hidden face, a persona that supersedes the individual. It represents a role, a specific function within the control matrix, rather than the unique spirit of the person beneath. When draped in ritual robes, the individual becomes less a person and more an embodiment of a system, a conduit for energies that flow through the institution they represent. This visual language reinforces the idea that true knowledge and spiritual authority reside not within the individual seeker, but in the external structure. It promotes a passive reception of doctrine, discouraging critical thought and personal revelation. The seal of ignorance, perpetuated through these symbols, ensures that the binding matrix remains unexamined, its mechanisms unquestioned, and its influence unchallenged. We have now deciphered the symbolic language of masks and ritual robes, understanding their role in perpetuating a seal of ignorance. But how can we, living within this intricately woven system, learn to identify its presence? In the next section, we will learn about recognizing the patterns and how to expose your energetic field to these influences. The first step towards liberation is recognition. To disentangle oneself from ancient influences, one must first be able to identify their presence, to see the patterns that have been woven into the fabric of our lives and our energetic fields. This isn't about fear, but about awareness, about tuning into a different frequency of perception. Your energetic field is not a passive recipient. It is a vibrant, interactive tapestry. When you understand the signatures of these binding matrices, the geometric forms, the resonant frequencies, and the symbolic inversions, you can begin to see how they interact with your own energy. It's like learning to detect a subtle, unwanted signal within a complex broadcast. Recognizing these patterns involves a deep dive into intuition and inner knowing, alongside the intellectual understanding we've been building. It means questioning what feels dissonant, what creates a sense of confinement, or what leads you away from your authentic self. By consciously observing these subtle energetic exchanges, you create a shield of awareness, making yourself less susceptible to their unnoticed influence. We have now learned to recognize the subtle patterns of control within our energetic fields, a crucial step towards breaking free. But recognition alone is not enough to dismantle these ancient structures. In the final section, we will move beyond identification and explore the path to true liberation, learning how to untangle the threads of this profound influence. To untangle oneself from the deep roots of ancient influence is a journey, not a destination, and it begins with a conscious choice to sever the energetic cords that bind. It's about recognizing that the spiritual evolution we've been pursuing might have been a carefully crafted illusion, and that true liberation lies in stepping outside the predetermined cycles. This path requires us to reclaim our sovereign energetic space, to understand that our consciousness is our own, not a resource to be harvested or a prisoner to be kept. It involves actively dissolving the energetic imprints of the control matrix, not by fighting them, but by understanding their nature and withdrawing our energy from them. This is where the true work of spiritual alchemy begins. The ultimate freedom comes from seeing the illusion for what it is, and then choosing to walk a different path, one not dictated by ancient paradigms of control. It's about reconnecting with the source of pure, unadulterated consciousness, the part of you that was never truly bound. Make sure to subscribe for more videos and hit that notification bell so you never miss a new video. We'll see you in the next one.